Same old trip it was back then. So I made a mistake. Try to see it once my way. Did the CIA kill rock and roll? That's the question. Billy Corgan came out a couple months ago and said they did.
What was the context?
It died in the early 2000s when all boy bands and rap for about 2 decades there. The white boy was experiencing too much motion in the early mid to late 90s there.
And how did they kill it? Just by promoting boy bands?
Boy bands and rap music, yeah. And killing all the artists. Kurt Cobain. Did you know Courtney Love had a father that was in the CIA? She might have been a plant. Might have gotten Lane Staley addicted to heroin.
Was Courtney Love, was she in a relationship with Kurt Cobain?
They were married, brother.
I mean, I don't know my Kurt Cobain history. Didn't he die? He died in a car accident, right?
Oh my gosh. Matthew, take a lap
He was
around
in
the house while I explain it.
He was in the
No.
seat behind the driver, right? Isn't that like called the
No.
Cobain seat?
No, he blew his brains out with a shotgun. I think it was Courtney Love, but
okay.
Didn't
Pretty
they
messy.
reopen the case or something?
They did reopen the case. They did. Come on, car accident?
I don't know. What am I thinking of? The seat behind the driver's seat. Someone died in it, and they named that death seat after him.
That might be JFK. I don't know if
JFK got fucking shot, bro. You're mocking me. You don't even know how JFK died.
I know how he died, but he was in the back seat when he was shot. I don't know the Cobain seat.
Famous musician died
Leonard Skinner's
in seat behind driver seat.
Leonard Skinner's drummer was in an accident. He just lost his arm. He survived. Stevie Ray Vaughan, plane crash.
I don't think the CI killed rock and roll. I don't know, but I would need to see more facts. You kind of just threw that one on me. Do you sit on it while we're in the pre-show and you don't bring it up until after we go live on air?
I've been on a big Alice in Chains kick the last couple months. It was the 30th anniversary of Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains Unplugged, MTV Unplugged a few weeks ago. And since then, it's aged very well. The early 90s Alice in Chains, late 80s.
Who else did they kill? I mean, I think they killed JFK. You brought up JFK. Okay.
Kurt Cobain, they got him. How are we looking here? Is the live chat lively yet?
I'm talking to GPT and Claude, trying to figure out who this fucking musician is that died in that seat.
Google is way better for this stuff.
Okay, well, why don't you find out for me? I could ask Gemini.
I already know. You're fact checking me. I'm not fact checking myself.
I'm not fact checking you. I'm trying to figure out who the famous musician was who died in the seat behind the driver's seat. Hank Williams? No, that's not who I'm thinking of.
I think Hank Williams is still kicking, brother.
That's what Google says. Williams was in the back seat of 1952 Cadillac Baby Blue Packard, driven by a 17-year-old named Charles Carr, traveling from Alabama to Canton, Ohio.
Very interesting.
But that seems like a
Buddy Holly, James Dean. It may be James Dean.
CIA.
Yeah.
They do like killing people. I'll give them that.
Are they releasing another virus on us right now? Is this what's happening? What's happening?
I don't know. That might just be a X-psyop.
I'm feeling psyop vibes.
Every 24 hours, influencers on X need something new to panic about.
Yeah. Yeah, Spencer Pratt. So the last 24 hours, Spencer Pratt, mayor of LA.
Is he a psyop?
I don't know, man. He seems genuine. I don't know.
I feel like he came out of nowhere, though. It was like the Palantir elite were like, this guy's going to win. And then everyone just started talking about him.
No, he's like, I mean, did you ever watch The Hills? The OC?
No. Was he in the OC?
He was in the hills, I think. I think was the.
Is that his experience?
Yeah.
His experience is he played a Californian on TV.
It was a reality show. It was about kids in Orange County. Orange County.
I think
the
that
OC
one might be a psyop.
I don't know. He seems genuine. He like blew up on TikTok, like feeding hummingbirds and being like just down to earth, LA diehard, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but meanwhile, as you said, like his background is Hollywood. What does he do for a living?
That's a great question. I have no idea. No idea. He's saying the right things though. He's mogging the incumbents, you know.
That part's good to see.
He seems like a man on a vendetta. They neglected the fires and burnt down his house.
But isn't like I saw that like that he's living in that Airstream as a psyop too?
That what? Living in that like camper?
He's like staying at his parents' mansion or something instead.
I have no idea.
Does he have a family?
Yeah, he's married to Heidi Montag.
He did a tour of the Airstream, which first of all, that's like $120,000 Airstream. It's not like the People's Trailer. And then the second piece is it was so clean. Like I have a camper and children. Like you can't live in one of those things as clean as it was for him. Like it was just way too clean. And like maybe you clean it before you bring the video camera in. But like still things should be like jammed in pockets and stuff. Yeah, like all the shelves should be overflowing. Like you have no space.
We're getting camper psyops right now. Damn.
Look, California can't do much worse, right? But I don't know. It just feels like my gut feels like it's like another Peter Thiel Vance thing going on.
How would Palantir get him? He's like a Valley bro.
But how wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? How does that not line up?
I don't know. I'm like, as Chief Marty Jones officer here at Rabbit Hole Recap, I'm getting a little tired of like the Palantir runs the world. Like it's getting too easy.
But
I need better.
They don't yet.
I need better string pullers here. I'm getting bored.
They're just they're trying to distract you from it. Okay, let me. Who the fuck?
People are calling Spencer Pratt the millennial Donald Trump. Which I don't know how I feel about that. That is
that doesn't that feel psyopy?
Yeah.
Like, bro, I know nothing about you. You have some cool ads. And also, once again, like, I would never live in LA. It's a low bar. It's a low bar to satisfy optimism over there.
I've only been to LA. I've only stayed in LA once. I've had a couple of layovers there. Worst airport in the country, especially if you have to transfer flights. And I stayed in LA for a conference. Gosh, it had to be like 11 years ago now at this point. It was good enough for me.
Does he have kids? Does he have kids? Spencer Pratt is a reality TV personality, best known as the messy, villainish guy from MTV's The Hills. He got famous after dating Heidi Montag, which became a huge plot line and helped blow up the Lauren Conrad-Heidi friendship drama. He and Heidi became known as Spidey. Got married in 2008, briefly split in 2010, and then reconciled. They now have 2 kids. He's also done shows like Celebrity Big Brother, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and The Hills, New Beginnings.
Storied career. Man of the people.
Man of the people.
I don't even want to talk about Bitcoin this week, you know.
I mean, we haven't yet, so you're off to a good start.
I kid. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. Let's get back on track here, or let's get on track. I don't think we were ever on track. Open with grunge, CIA killing rock conspiracies. Talked about Spencer Pratt. Now we're going to talk about Bitcoin.
I do love that you're like, Matt, what's your opinion on the CIA killing rock and roll? And then me saying that Spencer Pratt is a psyop, you're like, it's impossible. The CIA can't be involved with the Hills influencer being anointed as our next celebrity politician.
But he says all the right things. He makes me feel good.
Yeah, that's more suspicious, not less. Okay, sorry. Let's talk about Bitcoin.
The current price fallen below 80. Bull market's over, freak. $79,700. We're at a 1.
It felt good while it lasted.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good week. It was a good few days there. What a $1.6 trillion market cap. We are currently 36.9% below the all-time high of 126,160. We're looking at block height 948,342, which means we are 1,194 blocks away from the next difficulty adjustment, which is estimated to be on May 15th, 2026. Looking like an upwards adjustment of 1.4% would be the first upward adjustment in a few epochs here. I believe difficulty adjusted lower right before we recorded last week. For those who don't remember, was a negative 2.3 difficulty adjustment. Negative 2.3%. There are only 792 transactions in Clark's mempool. Nobody is spending Bitcoin right now. If we go over to mempool.space, we'll see that they have 53,736 transactions. 1 sat per B-byte should get you into the next block. That's the state of the network. I thought we were going to 90K yesterday.
And look, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, hand up. You wake up in the morning to over 81K, just like pep in my step, ready to go.
Yeah.
It feels good, man.
It does feel good. 79, 700, not as good. Not gonna lie. I kid though. I like this price action. It seems like it's slowly but surely moving up to the right. A little bit up, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, up and to the right. We've got serious topics to talk about. Most importantly, the first topic, which is Keonne Rodriguez from Samurai Wallet. He sent a message. He had a message syndicated via his Twitter account yesterday, writing from FPC Morgantown Prison in West Virginia, basically explaining the financial strife that comes with getting what I would deem to be unjustifiably thrown in a cage, and is asking help for their legal fees and the fine the judges levied against them. As you all know, we covered this as it was going on over the course of a couple years. Case against the DOJ comes with a lot of cost on the legal side, and Bill and Keonne had, I believe, $6 million taken from them, and the bills for these legal fees are coming due, and is asking the community for help raising. And so if you're out there, you still care, I hope you do, about Bill and Keonne specifically, and want to help mitigate the pain that they and their families are feeling, this is a good way to move things in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it fucking sucks, man. I mean, Bitcoin, ironically, because they worked on Bitcoin privacy, but he posted a fixed Bitcoin address that you can donate to. So as a result, it means that you can check mempool.space and see how much money was donated to that address. I dropped a character. Let's see. Last I checked, it was a little over half a Bitcoin, 0.83 Bitcoin. So 83 million sats, about $66,000. Not nothing. Good to see. I mean, what did he say here? They're in the whole like $2 million in change. Yeah, $2 million of debt due to legal fees, $250K fine the judge levied against us. So 2 and change. Someone sent a half Bitcoin. So over half of the donations received to this address was a single person. It's pretty baller. But let's see those numbers go up. If you use Samurai, if you found the tool helpful, help. If you care about Bitcoin privacy, if you care about, Bitcoiners using Bitcoin as freedom money, we have to stand up for our own. There's a lot of distractions out there. Me and Marty had the pleasure of spending a little brief amount of time with Lauren, Keonne's wife. Incredibly strong woman. I can't even imagine what she's been going through when we were in Vegas. Marty had her on TFTC this week. So definitely go listen to that if you haven't listened. We're going to do one thing this week. Go listen to that episode. Because as Bitcoiners, look, we don't have to agree on everything, but when the state goes after one of our own, we should be standing together. And this story has been one of a lot of frustration on my side. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you handled you were very, I would say that you were much more composed than I was on stage when Lauren joined us. It's just hard. And like, even when I recorded with her, yeah, I mean, you were better than me, I would say. Yeah, it's just hard. Like, even when I recorded with her, it was just one-on-one. It's just difficult. Like, what do you say to somebody in Lauren's shoes who's lost their husband or best friend as a prospect of being in prison for 5 years for doing something that FinCEN, the regulator of Samurai Wallet, at the end of the day said that was not illegal. And basically the DOJ went to FinCEN and said, hey, we think these guys are a money transmitter business. What do you think? And they said, no, they're not.
Well, to be clear here, they were threatening them with trumped up money laundering conspiracy charges that had a very hefty sentence. And what they ended up pleading guilty to was not that. What they pled guilty to was effectively not doing KYC on a self-custody wallet, unlicensed money transmission, which is insane. And so the haters will say, oh, well, they pled guilty. Well, if you're facing 20 plus years in jail and you want to have a family and a life, and you're not seeing real support. I mean, people don't remember, it was 2 years ago. I guess it was about almost exactly 2 years ago when they got hit with this no-knock raid, FBI no-knock raid, into their house, with assault rifles, regulatory action by enforcement, obviously trying to send a message to anyone who cares about using Bitcoin as freedom money. In the week that followed, the 2 weeks that followed, the first thing I tried to do was, I will say personally, it was a situation where it was like anything could happen, right? I personally felt like, any of us could be subject to that type of action at that point, right? So that was going on, and I was like, we need to get some legal support for these guys. No one wanted to step up and do it. No one wanted to handle it. I felt like I was a little bit too close to the situation. So I obviously preferred if someone else handled it, and no one would. So we handled it through Bitcoin Policy Institute. We set up p2prights.org. We started to try and get donations there. I mean, first of all, huge shout out to everyone running BitcoinPolicyInstitute.org. Like, I'm an unpaid board member there. I do minimal work on that front. But they stood up and did it without hesitation, which was very unique in the space at the time. And then actually trying to fundraise for that legal defense fund was very difficult. And we got a little bit over $1 million. It was not nearly enough to fight that kind of case. Meanwhile, the shitcoiners with Tornado Cash raised a ton more money, had a ton more support.
Why is that? Why do you think that is? What is it? Is it all the foundation?
Look, I'm not. It's just lame and gay. Is what it is. Like what do you want me to say? It was just really disappointing, and they very much felt like they were on their own. And I don't think that was the wrong way to feel, based on everything that I saw. So I'm not surprised that they pled guilty. But once again, they pled guilty to not doing KYC on self-custody users. Could it have been worse? Yeah, it could have been worse. Will him and Bill have some semblance of life afterwards? Yes. I mean, it's 5 years. 5 years is a long time, but could have been significantly worse. But we need to stand up for our own. And every time I look at Lauren, I mean, I just see my own wife, so fucking kills me inside. Yeah. And we could do better.
Yeah. And I feel like it's something that Laura and I discuss. There's been a lot of positive momentum in the direction of more private Bitcoin usage via the suite of tools that is coming to market, whether it's eCash, interoperability between these second layers, between Lightning, Arc, Spark, eCash, Liquid, whatever it may be. And if Keonne and Bill aren't pardoned and we don't get sufficient developer protections into the Clarity Act, then it's very easy to see how we can just be in a momentary lull where the feds are off the proverbial back of the industry, and there's nothing to prevent them from coming back, whether under another administration or even this administration, to go after these types of products in the future. Maybe they're just waiting for people to build this stuff out to build a case to come down with the hammer at some point in the future. And so while I'm very happy with the advancements that have been made, I think it would be naive to think that we're in the clear without the pardon of Bill, Keonne, the dropping of the trial against Roman Storm, the freeing of Roman Sterlingnov, and the passing of the Clarity Act with the BRCA language in it that protects free and open source software developers building.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that part's going to happen, right?
It doesn't look like it. I saw Zach Shapiro tweeting earlier today. I don't think he said it explicitly, but I think implicitly he was signaling that yes, it may still be included in the language. Let me see if I can.
To be clear, it's the only part of the Clarity Act that would actually be good for us. Everything else is just to help the corporate shitcoiners and the USD tokens and dumping shitcoins on retail. And we haven't really gotten anything tangible gains during the Trump administration. All of it is very ephemeral, right? It can change in a heartbeat, which is frustrating and worrisome. So hopefully, I mean, there's still 2 more years of this administration. Hopefully we get some real wins here. But the crypto lobby is greatly outspending anyone who cares about Bitcoin as freedom money. I've seen that firsthand with Bitcoin Policy Institute. But yeah.
Pull up the tweet. He's quote tweeting Corey Clipston here, saying, to be clear, there's nothing new for Bitcoin in the Clarity Act. It will simply continue our right to hold private keys and use Lightning Network, which are already covered under existing law. Clarity Act is for crypto blockchain and dollar coins. And then Zach quote tweeted saying, FYI, this is completely wrong. The BRCA developer protections in the Clarity Act are the single most important piece of Bitcoin-related legislation ever. Please call your senator in support so we can prevent future versions of the Samurai Wallet / Tornado Cash prosecutions. So I guess Zach is under the impression that the language is still in the Clarity Act. So I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, the freaks probably listened to our Vegas rip with Pub Key, but that was on Monday. That was on Monday before the conference. So this is actually our first rip after the conference. And, you know, is that conference perfect? No, by no means it's perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
I think there's a lot of valid complaints that people have about the priorities with the conference organizers. But I think people should also realize, like, there's just not that many of us who actually care about Bitcoin as freedom money. You know, the conference, I'm proud to see that the conference is still running the open source stage in a big way. Obviously, that was something that I started when I was consulting for them back in 2021 with the Sweaty Nerd tent, and it's been upgraded over the years. That's always been a loss leader. That makes no money. It's because the organizers do care about open source developer culture within Bitcoin and care about pushing the tools forward. HRF had the Freedom stage that we were both on, and we brought Lauren up there, and we talked about standing behind both the Samurai devs and the Tornado Cash devs and everyone working on Bitcoin as freedom money. I saw a lot of people talk about it on the open source stage, or a decent amount of people talk about it on the open source stage. On the main stage, I spoke on the main stage and I mentioned it strongly in the beginning. I was up there with BTC Sessions, Bruce Fenton, and Luke Rudkowski. I like Luke. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But like the topic of that is like, is Bitcoin still sovereign money, right? And they had a full house in that conference room, 8,000 plus people for Saylor talking about tokenizing Stretch on Solana and inscribing Stretch on Bitcoin on chain. And it was an empty house for our talk. And so like I think it's reasonable to complain about certain elements of programming with the conference. But at the end of the day, they like can't force people to find interest in certain topics. Like the incentives are very much aligned. The community that goes to this event would much rather hear about tokenizing Stretch than they would hear about anything Bitcoin freedom money related. It's just it's the truth. And so they deserve a huge shout out for still platforming those conversations that are clearly not moneymakers for them, right? They're doing it out of principle. I mean, I know Craig very well, who runs programming over there, and he takes it very seriously. Like he wants what he views as the important aspects of Bitcoin, which are very aligned with us, to get stage time, to get exposure, but at the detriment of the business. Like it does not make them any money.
No. I mean, the explicit track that I spoke on, the conversation that I led, was not like Bitcoin as freedom money, but that was like, it was Bitcoin in the agentic economy. But like the main point that was being made on stage is that the agents are ultimately, or humans are ultimately going to have their agents use Bitcoin because of the permissionless nature and the interoperability, the permissionless nature of Bitcoin. It's many different layers, and granted, we were literally dead last in terms of conversations on the main stage Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m.
It was the last main stage programming, right?
Yeah. Yes, and there was probably 24 people in the crowd.
Yeah, 8,000 seats.
Yeah. Very engaged. The dozens of you that showed up, thank you. Get a rousing applause after.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think part of it is because, you know, we're older and we have kids and we're raising a family and we have more to lose, which is very much true. But like younger Matt believed, like if the state came after me for trumped up bullshit, like Bitcoiners would stand behind us. I quite frankly just don't believe that anymore. Like it's every man for himself. Like we have the ride
No.
or dies.
They're gonna
There's
be with us.
like
They're gonna protest outside the prison for us.
no, there's like tens of thousands of ride or dies, and those are my people. But like the majority of the quote unquote community or industry, however you want to phrase it, would just give no shits whatsoever. They'll just carry on. They'll and do whatever it is that they're currently doing. That is the situation I'm currently operating on. So when you're trying to judge my actions and how I'm interacting publicly with people, you can base it off of that context. And maybe younger me was naive. Maybe the community's changed. Maybe it matured. Maybe this was inevitable. But that's my read of the current situation. And it's sad and frustrating and disappointing.
It is. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking when you're juxtaposing Sailor to your talk, how do we make what we're doing sexy? Do we need to throw some cyber hornets into the ability to transact privately?
Look, the cyber hornets. I mean, look, I think the number go up stuff is always obviously more interesting to people. It has mass market appeal. You know, you can get rich with no work. The shit corners were always really good at that. I think the difference here is with the Sailorization of this community. Like it's very much. It's like they're within the castle. You know, they're within the walls. Like it used to be like big corners and then shit corners, and then now that line is blurred more. I mean, if you say anything even remotely critical about MSTR, you might notice an element of deja vu. And the reason is because they respond to you like the XRP army. The only difference is they're wearing orange ties. Like that is literally the only main difference between MSTR bag holders and the XRP army. They're within the gates. And like I said, maybe, you know, that is a maturation of Bitcoin and it was inevitable regardless, but it's just wild. It's wild. It's wild to witness.
Did you catch the strategy earnings call and one of the questions that Eric Balchunas asked, the Bloomberg ETF analyst?
What question did you ask?
He asked Mr. Saylor if he's worried about the long-term viability of Bitcoin if the hardcore cypherpunk base loses interest because the suits are in the castle. Paraphrase there, obviously. I would throw that to you as well.
What was Saylor's answer?
I think he answered it well, or he actually, I don't know if he had a prepared answer. I don't know if the question was pre-prepared, but I think it was like, no, they're going to stick around. Bitcoin's properties are good for people all over the world, like pointing at emerging markets. And
it was like, we could just take them for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, it used to be. Look, to be clear here, we've never had more people that care about Bitcoin as freedom money from an absolute number. So that's the optimistic take, right? Like that number is up and to the right. The people using Bitcoin as freedom money, building tools that enable Bitcoin to be used as freedom money more easily, making Bitcoin more robust as freedom money. We've never had more people, but percentage-wise, it's never been lower, and that's where the disconnect happens. But I don't know, like there used to be one of the coolest parts about this space was it was heavily based on proof of work, and reputation and building in the public. And it's just kind of just like wild it's just wild to witness the fracturing of the community in a way that just logically is inconsistent, and it's frustrating. And so, like, let me use an example here. Marty and I have been called shitcoiners consistently by the BIP 110 people. We have been operating in the public for over 10 years. We have never once promoted a shitcoin. We have never endorsed a shitcoin. We've done the exact opposite. Through 1031, we've raised and deployed $250 million, not into a single shitcoin project. We're not investors in Citria, which is a scam. We're not invested in any of the quote unquote Bitcoin layer twos that all involve shitcoins. That doesn't happen by accident. That's a very deliberate choice. Like, you don't accidentally not invest $250 million into Bitcoin only things. But none of that matters, right? They'll still call you shitcoiners. Saylor, who I think does deserve a lot of credit for proof of work in the space in terms of conviction specifically, like, bro is convicted as hell, has been in this space for 6 years. Dude's entire feed is just shitcoin stuff right now. It's all Solana stuff. He's supporting a X-Stack shitcoiners runes project where they're inscribing stretch on Bitcoin. There's just a wild disconnect there. And maybe it'll work itself out, maybe it won't. But it's just been kind of crazy to witness.
It's digital credit. It's the digital credit phrase.
Digital credit,
brother.
yeah.
It's taken over. In all seriousness, I wonder too, like, how much, like you said, we've been in this publicly for 10 years, at least on Twitter, professionally for 9, almost 10. We've been doing this show for 8. How much of it is just like fatigue?
I mean, 10 years is only 2016, Marty.
I know.
A lot of it is fatigue. And like I said, also, like, we're older now and we're raising families. But I mean, look, you mentioned yeah, I mean, it's just, and specifically, like, over the last year, like, the fracturing of the minority that cares about freedom money has been very significant, and that's taken a toll on me. Like, it's almost like an autoimmune disease while the real enemies are at the gates. And maybe I'm, partially to blame for that, but I like to be a provocative person, but it's frustrating to witness. I will say, yeah, you were going to say something, Marty. Sorry.
What can we rally around? What is one common ground thing we should all rally around and just focus on?
Dude, we can't even rally around staying humble and stacking sats. It's like controversial now.
It's you buy more Bitcoin than you sell. That's all you have to do.
So you bring that up. I didn't even have it on the list. The MSTR our earnings call was yesterday. First of all, the bullshit that, like, this, like, MSTR and related products are for institutional capital that can't buy Bitcoin otherwise. If that's the case, like, why is the earnings call basically a Bitcoin podcast? Like, it's completely retail focused. The whole operation is 100% retail focused. Like, stop gaslighting me with that bullshit. But people really keyed into Saylor saying he's willing to sell some Bitcoin to pay stretch dividends, right? Which historically he's been selling common stock to do. And I actually don't think that is the worst idea. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's effectively doing that when he's selling common anyway. There are some tax advantages for him to sell Bitcoin. His concept that, like, there's a lot of FUD around if he has to sell Bitcoin, he's not going to be able to sell any of it without crashing the market. So it kind of, he used the term inoculates people, which is like, okay, so we're going to vaccine people with Bitcoin sales, but
we're going to vaccinate them.
Interesting choice of words, but directionally, like, that kind of makes sense. The scarier concept, which I don't pretend to understand what the downstream implications of it are, is he said he's willing to sell Stretch to buy MSTR. So he's selling MSTR to pay Stretch dividends, and he's selling Stretch to buy MSTR. The whole thing seems like
it's getting to like I was following it for a bit. Like I could put wrap my arms around most of it up until like literally this week, where it's like, wait a second, sell Stretch to buy MSTR, but you're selling MSTR to pay the dividends. Like, how does this work? And then you're
selling Stretch to buy Bitcoin, selling
Bitcoin. Aren't you only supposed to buy Bitcoin with it? Like, that's the thing. It's like goalpost moving. And we called this out. What was it last year? It was like this time last year when he had like the Q2 earnings call. He had the Q2 earnings call. It was so it would have been like a couple of months from now. It was like the beginning of the summer last year, where he said we're not going to hit the ATM under certain conditions, and then 2 weeks
under
later,
2.5 MNAV.
Yeah, and then he did it immediately, like after. A lot of goalposts moving.
Yeah, I mean, I think partially it can be explained by no one's ever done this before, and he's like learning as he's going, so he like deserves some benefit of the doubt. It's the constant gaslighting that you don't get any benefit of the doubt for. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how that works out for them.
Well, while we're having this discussion, Ride or Die Freak and
kind of wild
friend of the show and friend of ours personally, Parker Lewis, reached out and said we need to rally around Stay Humble Stack Sats. I think we just need to keep hammering.
It's controversial, bro. It's controversial. That's what I mean, look, I think like use the tools, like use Bitcoin as money. Saving it, spending it without permission, hold your own keys, use your own node, real Bitcoin, not that fake shit. Like that's always been the fundamentals. It's just
you're a Luddite, dude. You need ETF shares, brother. We've got the upgrade, the hottest layer 2 in the world.
A layer 3 now is tokenized Stretch, supposedly.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know. Can you blame like the influencers for selling out for all this treasury stuff? No, not really. I mean, some of these executive comp packages are $15 million, $20 million a year, and the stock is down 95%. And what they wake up every morning, they're like, okay, we'll sell some more stock to buy Bitcoin. Like, what are they doing? It's like the easiest work in the world. Of course, they're going to defend it. Am I allowed to throw shade about it? Yeah, because we didn't do that. Like, I could have done that.
Should we have done that? Should we have done that for our families?
I mean, look, when you're being called when you're being called a shitcoiner constantly over relatively benign comments, like, yeah, I think partially you start to think like, should we have invested $250 million into Bitcoin companies trying to make Bitcoin more useful as money and more robust as money, when instead we could have just made fucking bank on shitcoins? Yeah, I think about that sometimes. I most importantly, I can look my kids in the eye and say that I did what I thought was right, and actually defend myself, which I think is the most important fundamental, and that's why I wouldn't actually do it. But it's definitely frustrating.
I'm being facetious. I was being facetious, but obviously, no. But to your point, can you blame them? No, if your ultimate goal is accumulating as much money as possible, but this is bigger than money.
I mean, I think if you're critical of someone, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard than you're holding them to. And I think we both do that. So yes, we can be critical of them. I mean, look, let's put something in scale, right? There's a whole subset of the freedom money community, Bitcoin freedom money community, that has been trying to defund open source devs for the last year and a half. These open source devs, like at the high end, maybe are making $250K a year in a grant. Most of them are probably making closer to 100K or less a year. OpenSats, which I think has been a massive success, and I'm quite proud of, is sending out about $1 million a month to grant recipients in 40 plus countries. That's about 200 people right now. In total, it's over 400 people that we've funded through grants. Like, we are sending out less per year to all 400 open source grant recipients than one of these guys is getting paid for a second tier strategy clone for the year. Fucking insane disconnect. And you wake up in the morning and you think the best use of your time is to reply guy me and call me a shitcoiner. Congratulations. Maybe you fell for the psyop.
Yeah. Sack up, freaks. Get back to the roots. This is freedom money. Yeah, you can make foo-foo bucks trying to push people towards your equity, which is using digital credit strategies to weaponize capital markets to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible.
On the note of Bitcoin is freedom money. Oh, go on.
I was going to say, and I think we should say, there's nothing we can do to stop it. Bitcoin, anybody that can acquire Bitcoin can do so via any means they deem necessary or possible. There's nothing we can do to stop it. I think the only thing we can do is focus what we're focused on. We're not going to start a Bitcoin treasury company. We will continue to focus on the companies building out critical infrastructure that makes it easier to utilize Bitcoin as freedom money, to handle UTXOs, to secure them, to send them to second layers like the Lightning Network, whatever it may be, to actually use it as day-to-day money. But there's nothing we can do to stop that. I think the only thing that we can do is continue to do what we have been doing and encourage others to be aware of the spectrum of different types of Bitcoin usage and push them towards the one that actually will give us a fighting chance of living free in the digital age. Because I'm not sure if you're looking around, freaks, not looking great. Not looking great.
The walls are closing in.
Walls are closing in. The hantavirus is on its way.
Hantavirus. A lot of hantavirus experts. I had no idea what a hantavirus was a week ago. Anyway, on the topic of Bitcoin is freedom money, in our Ride or Die live chat powered by Noster, Map21 zapped us 21,000 sats, and SoapMiner also zapped us 21,000 sats. Map21 had no comment. SoapMiner's comment was, with the virus coming, make sure to wash your hands regularly using SoapMiner soap.
I got the soap.
I
ordered it during last RHR stream. I got the soap.
Did you use code RHR?
I used code RHR.
Nice.
Imagine if he didn't.
Logan, if you didn't, would have been dumb. Number one, you would have paid more in sats because SoapMiner only accepts Bitcoin as money via BTC Pay server. What flavors did you get? What scents did you?
I got the variety pack, which had.
Did you get cedarwood? Cedarwood's my favorite these days.
I think it has lemongrass, cedarwood, pine tar, and lavender.
Yeah. Save the lavender for the ladies. I like the lavender. Florida Justin, 22,222 zap in the live stream. 2s across the board, palindrome zap. Appreciate you, fellas. We appreciate you. Florida Justin. And we have a big one coming in from Phil Mustang, 23,232 sats, palindrome zap. If you're not paying attention, you probably should be. A lot going on this week in Congress, where it's a subcommittee, the judiciary, or the justice, I forget what it's called, but they passed a unanimous, I guess, recommendation for age verification for AI earlier this week. You have to verify your age to use the AI tools. They're too dangerous, too powerful.
Wait, what is this?
Let me pull it up. Actually,
was it a law? You said it was Supreme Court?
No, it was like one of the subcommittees. Logan, give me a second. I'll put it in here.
Is this a law? Are they required? Because I thought this was more likely to happen just like from like a voluntary point of view, like Claude and like Anthropic and OpenAI and stuff would just, they already kind of do it.
God damn it.
Yeah, talking about Claude, if I cannot figure out which famous musician I'm talking about.
The GUARD Act, protect the children as a Trojan horse for digital identity. 2 AI regulation moves in 1 week. One targets the labs, one targets the users. The pattern is clear. Governments want to be the gatekeeper, but the GUARD Act, or Section 3062, passed Senate Judiciary 22-0, requiring age verification for all chatbot/AI users, bipartisan unanimity across the board. So yeah, I don't know if this is just a committee that is then going to propose a law that will go through the House
The
and the
GUARD
Senate.
Act. What
The
double
GUARD
speak
Act.
bullshit. Classic.
Yeah. Just be aware it's happening. Nobody talked about this week. I didn't hear anybody covering this. On a positive note, in terms of, because what have you been saying for years? Age verification for anything online is really a Trojan horse for digital identity, and digital identity is one of the most Orwellian things if implemented in the wrong way, particularly via centralized governments or centralized trusted third parties like WorldCoin. In Utah, they passed the SETI Act. Did you see this? You have it on the list?
No.
The SETI Act, it's a digital ID law, but the let me pull that up. Let me make some. The gist is individuals have the right to create their own digital ID using open source distributed protocols where they have access to the private keys. Utah's self-sovereign digital identity law just went live yesterday. Utah SB 275 took effect. It passed unanimously in both chambers with the ACLU backing it. The law creates state-endorsed digital identity where the individual holds a persistent cryptographic identifier they control. The state endorses it but does not issue it. If the state revokes its endorsement, your underlying identity persists. It bans phone home surveillance, mandates selective disclosure, so things like being able to prove that you're 21 without revealing your name or your birth date. So using something like zero knowledge proofs, and forbids locking wallets to Apple or Google. I recorded with Gerald Glickman, BPI fellow yesterday on the subject of digital identity, how to do it right.
Oh, I like Gerald. Gerald. Sorry, Gerald. Yeah, I mean, the walls are closing and they're going to keep doing this shit. It's everywhere. I mean, I think it's easy to see the spread of KYC and identity verification in Bitcoin, which is very obvious. But it's very much a frog boiling in every other aspect of our lives. And most people don't even realize that they're agreeing to it because a lot of it is phone number based. And then they block burner numbers.
Yeah. Freaks, good news. Back over 80K.
Bull market's back intact.
Yeah.
By the way, it is. Okay. So apologies to all the Cobain fans out there screaming at their radio right now. If that's where you're listening to Rabbit Hole Recap. But the seat behind the front passenger seat. So also I got the wrong seat. The seat behind the front passenger seat is sometimes in slang called the Kurt Cobain seat, but it's not because he died in a car crash.
What is it? Why do they call it the Kurt Cobain seat? Is it too vulgar to disclose?
No, because I guess it was the seat that he would always sit in that seat or something. It was like the rock star seat. It's like when you're being chauffeured around, you'd sit in the one diagonal from the driver in the back seat.
Yeah. The Unknown Disciple C7C is saying Nirvana is the most overrated band of all time. I would concur. I mean, they had some great songs. Like I said earlier, I think Alice in Chains aged way better than Nirvana. And then if you look into the history of Dave Grohl, talking about other CIA influences, do some research. Do some research there. We have Bitcoin stuff to talk about. There was a Bitcoin Core CVE bug. I guess not revealed, but I guess the bug. There was a disclosure where they didn't exactly say what it is. We're getting the disclosure now. Script interpreter remote crash after Bitcoin Core version 0.14.0 and before Core version 29.0. Validating a specially crafted block may cause the node to access previously freed memory. During validation, necessary data required for checking inputs for each transaction is pre-calculated and cached. For specially crafted invalid blocks, it was possible for this data to be destroyed while it was still being accessed by a background validation thread. An attacker capable of mining a block with sufficient proof of work could have exploited this to crash victim nodes. Because of the nature of used after free bugs, it is possible that the crash could have been used for remote code execution, though constraints on the input or the block data make this unlikely. The issue is considered high severity. So if you're running Bitcoin Core between version 0.14.0 and 29.0. It's a pretty wide range of core versions there. You may be susceptible, your node may be susceptible to this bug, which could crash it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a conspiracy theory floating around that
Peter Miller is
just trying to get you to update. Well, they're just trying to get you to fearmonger update into things, which is, not without merit, but also I don't think is what's happening here. But I guess my point is, for most people, like, this isn't really a high severity bug, I don't think. Like, your node can be crashed, which is not ideal on a network-wide level. Like, you don't want all the nodes to crash at the same time. But for most people, if their node crashes, it's not the end of the world. And like, it relies on a miner specifically, basically losing their mining reward, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Corey Fields discovered and responsibly disclosed this in early November of 2024. So a year and a half ago.
But like, am I correct in the take that it's basically you're doing all the work and cost of mining a block, but then the block itself is invalid, and then it crashes the node?
Yeah, an attacker capable of mining a block with sufficient proof of work could have exploited this to crash victim node. So I guess you'd have to mining a block capable, like being capable of mining a block. Does it mean they had to mine a block? I don't know. You'd have to target and spend a lot of work to actually wage this attack. And yeah, they consider it high severity. I'm not a protocol developer, but like I find the incentives of waging that attack to be.
Yeah, and then I think it'd be very obvious of which miner did it or which mining pool did it.
Yeah.
For what gain? For crashing a bunch of nodes. So I question high severity or not, but be aware, freaks. I will say I see BTC Pins in the comments saying we need devs supporting old milestone core versions with bug fixes so we don't have to update to versions with unwanted features in order to fix vulnerabilities. I 100% agree with that. That's something that OpenStats has been focused on. But I will also say, like, for 99% of use cases, if you're running an older version, you're good.
Yeah. I think you should be fine. Not advice, but that's something I would worry too much about. All right, moving down the list. Bisq announces V1 trade protocol exploit and emergency trading halt. Front loading the Bitcoin talk with exploits, getting back to our roots here, freaks. Bisq version 1 has experienced an exploit in its trade protocol that allowed an attacker To drain a portion of available offers, the impact was limited to open offers that were actively taken by the attacker over the last 12 hours. Funds held in users' Bisq Bitcoin wallets were not affected, as an immediate mitigation and emergency mechanism was activated to disable trading by setting the required trading version to 2.0.0, a version that does not exist. This effectively prevents the attacker from continuing the exploit. The attack appears to have started on May 1st. In the early morning hours, the development team has continued to investigate the full extent of the damage. Users with trades initiated on or after this time are advised to open mediation by selecting the trade and pressing Control+O. A mediator will assess whether their trade was affected. Preliminary investigation indicates the attacker exploited a missing validation check using a modified client. The team working to reliably reduce the issue and verify it fixed. Once confirmed, a hotfix will be released. Based on the latest stable version, in parallel, a comprehensive security review is being conducted to identify any related or additional vulnerabilities. For affected users, reimbursement options are being evaluated. Bisq recognizes that both the exploit and are critical to its integrity, and it is dedicating all available resources to find a solution that helps restore confidence. Bisq 2 with Bisq Easy Trade Protocol is not affected. It is a separate code base with fundamentally different protocol design.
Yeah, this was their older, the OG protocol, not the new protocol that they've switched to. I think the most interesting aspect of this is they believe this vulnerability was discovered with the help of LLMs, which is a trend that we have discussed in the past. And, shit around, like Claude Mythos taking down the entire internet by finding vulnerabilities. But there's also some real signal in there that these LLMs are great at pouring through large code bases and trying to find vulnerabilities. So I thought it was kind of cool that Bisq said one of their responses here, and I think they've been very good, especially for an open source project. I've been very good with communication here, but one of their responses, which is exactly what you want to see. I mean, I wouldn't even know this vulnerability existed if they weren't out front with their communication. Is that they are going to be using AI tools to try and harden their code bases. And I think this is something that anyone working on both open source and closed source things should be focused on. You can't just ignore innovation. You have to also use the tools yourself to harden the things that we're relying on out there.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bisq team. Again, one of those OG teams, been around for a while, doing it the right way, trying to make it easier for people to acquire Bitcoin in a KYC-free fashion and don't get as much love as they deserve. Unfortunately, we're talking about them this week because of this vulnerability, but as Matt said, they handled it well. Apparently, there's a draft of the Clarity Act going around. I'm going to try and get my hands on it to see if it includes the BRCA language. If anybody listening right now has their hands on the draft already, send it our way. What we got next? Brian Armstrong announced Coinbase 14% staff reduction.
You see what I named the episode?
The layoffs will continue. Yeah. The layoffs continue. Is this shocking?
No, that's why. This is the second episode that's been named "Layoffs Continue," and I project that we might hit double digits, depending on our artistic license. If we use the title over and over again, I think if anything, they probably didn't fire enough and didn't rip the Band-Aid off enough. It's very much, at least from a narrative point of view, very similar to Dorsey's statement with Block, Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Brian literally took Dorsey's statement from Block, put it into Claude, and was like, reword this in my voice, which
Make
is
it
kind of
sound more
questionable in its
robotic.
own right. If you get fired and like the fucking founder is using slop as the press release, I mean, that would suck. But look, all of these companies are way too overweight with employees that are not actually providing value. And I think AI makes that more obvious than it was before. I think it was the case before AI existed, to be clear. But it's even more obvious after AI, because if you actually have a dedicated, motivated, skilled employee, that employee has significant leverage in terms of the amount of value they can provide because of these tools. Like that, I mean, anyone with a brain sees that happening. Like someone who's skilled, motivated, passionate, takes care of this shit, very responsible. Like those people with the current tools they're 10x employees from where they were without the tools a year and a half ago. So it goes to reason that there's somewhere in the ballpark of, at the very least, you need 10% of it. Like at the very least, that's like, okay, you can go like 90% layoffs and accomplish the same level of workload that you accomplished before. Now, obviously, that's like napkin math. But I think that accelerates because these tools are getting even better and people are getting more effective and efficient with using them. So what was this? He announced 14% layoffs. I think they had a little under 5,000 employees to begin with. It's about 700, 800 people. So I expect more, to be honest.
How much of this do you think can be contributed to the lack of efficacy for broader crypto, DeFi, Web3?
What do you mean?
It seems like crypto is, people are pretty down in the dumps for Bitcoin price action the last 6 months, but I feel like broader crypto is even worse, especially after those DeFi hacks and the sort of run on the DeFi protocols we saw a few weeks ago.
Well, I mean, I think now that you can get 11.5% yield using Stretch on DeFi, it should probably amplify everything they're doing over there. I don't know. Look, I mean, Coinbase obviously was a first mover in the space. They deserve credit for that. They were also very good at not losing customer money, which sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but they've been around since 2013.
You got to reframe that. But they've lost a ton of their customers' money.
Oh, I mean, you cut off a little bit there, but yeah, I mean, because it's a shitcoin casino, most of their customers have gotten poorer as a result. But they haven't been hacked. They haven't gone bankrupt, which is, I mean, once again, a wild thing to shout out someone for. But they obviously have had zero focus in terms of building out that company. So of course, like, it does make sense that they probably have a bunch of divisions within their corporate structure that are like completely useless. But I still think the people that say this is all because of AI are wrong. And I think the people that say this is just using AI as a narrative to hide overhiring and gross mismanagement of capital allocation are also wrong. It's somewhere in the middle, right? AI does change how effective small teams can be and makes them much more effective. But also because of money being cheap and just fiat things, a lot of these companies have way more employees than they ever should have had to begin with. I mean, just for like with our own experience, I mean, Strike has 75 employees. Even after this layoff, Coinbase has 44,000 employees or something. Like, maybe Strike should have more employees, but like, how is that divide exist? How does the 4,000 to 75 divide? That's thousands of people. What are they doing? Are they worth it? Are they valuable?
No, I mean, I think Coinbase
That's the question.
raised money and scaled in an era where headcount was a KPI that would lead to larger raise amounts, larger valuations, whereas Strike came in a bit later. And obviously, Jack is very meticulous in terms of how he's scaling his business and has the Bitcoin opportunity cost in mind at all times. And when did we lead their Series B? In July 22. So different era of raising where the Bitcoin opportunity cost was much more apparent when Strike was coming up. And I think we would both argue that Jack understands Bitcoin much better than Brian does at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at Bitcoin founders, right, they've basically been operating in a tight money environment to begin with. While people coming from the big tech side have been operating in a very loose money, easy money world for a long time. And so that is definitely a key piece, right? The cost of capital has never been more expensive in fiat land. For Bitcoiners, Bitcoin founders were already operating in even a higher cost of capital, right? Like if the cost of capital right now for Coinbase to go borrow money is, like 5 to 7% or something, which is obviously, okay, fine, 10%, but significantly higher than basically almost 0% in the years that preceded. A Bitcoin founder is operating under like a cost of capital of like 30% or whatever you think the expected CAGR is, compound annual growth rate, is like kind of where you're thinking about opportunity cost. And the investors who are investing in Bitcoin only businesses are also weighing that same opportunity cost when they're investing, right? So any Bitcoin founder out there knows that over the last 5 years or so has been very difficult raising money. And so they've already operated in that aspect. So I think as this kind of like hard money reset hits these fiat-led companies, you will see significant downsizing for that alone. But then you also have the AI piece, and they come together and they compound. And that's when you start to see like really, really significant layoffs and downsizing happen.
Yeah, I think the one Mr. O'Keefe makes a good point here in the YouTube comments. High interest rates don't destroy capital; they just make it easier to spot capital that was already destroyed with low interest rates.
Yeah,
I think this is something that people have to get used to. I think we've been conditioned, particularly post 2008, to be comfortable, or not comfortable, but we've come to expect low interest rates. And I think it's very important that everybody out there recognizes that that time period was anomalous in human history, not just US history. And it's not a bad thing. It obviously does hurt a little bit, especially if you're trying to get a mortgage or get a car loan and the interest rates are higher, prices are not coming down as quickly as interest rates are going up. But I think it's a good thing. I think we need a higher cost of capital in certain parts of the market to really force people to think about opportunity cost and where they're putting their dollars, and force them to make wise business decisions. And as we said, what started this part of the conversation is like, that's why we invest in Bitcoiners, because Bitcoiners caught on to this trend without having to look at the federal funds rate. Just being able to look at the Bitcoin CAGR, it's ingrained in their mentalities already that you have to be efficient, profitable, making revenue. There ain't no such thing as free lunch here, freaks. And I think many people were conditioned to believe that it's easy. Easy money brings an easy life, but that's not the case. It just masks problems and kicks the can down the road. And I think we're getting to the point in the road of the Truman Show where the wall shows up and you can't go any further, and you run into it with your boat.
Gross capital misallocation, years and years and years of it. And now we're going to see what the reversion to the mean looks like, right? It's going to be painful. I mean, anyone who's telling you it's not going to be painful, I think is just lying to you. They're gaslighting you.
It's going to be painful for most people, but again, I really want to drill this home. It's not going to be painful for those of us who recognize that this is the new normal. If you can recognize the new normal, like the reversion to normal is the way it should be properly stated. If you can, and it's a new normal for us.
The new
As
normal. Marty
It's a new
wants you to
normal.
know it's a new normal, and we're going to build back better.
But
You
if
heard
you
it
can
here first,
internalize,
freaks.
if you can internalize that the cost of capital is going to be more expensive, likely for a good portion of the rest of our lives, or at least the next decade, I would imagine, and react appropriately via your capital allocation and strategies, whether that be via investments or if you're a business owner in terms of how you scale your business. It's going to force you to produce a better product or service and actually provide value for the world, which, to Matt's point, it's going to hurt many people, but overall, in the long run, it's good for the economy. And we're beginning to see this. I think it was quite coincidental that we had a ceasefire announced yesterday morning, just hours after the 30-year U.S. Treasury went over 5%. At the same time, you have
Luke Groman had a good tweet about that. Every time it goes over, a Truth Social post basically goes out saying there's a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Is there still a war going on, Marty?
I have no idea.
I would say yes. I think there is still a war going on.
No, but if you look, I think the canary in the coal mine, Japan, I think, I don't know if I didn't confirm this headline, but I saw a headline coming out of Japan that apparently the prime minister basically admitted, yeah, we're going to have to inflate our way out of this, like prepare for hyperinflation. Again, did not confirm that. I saw that floating around. May be true, but we've been talking about Japan as one of the canaries. Their yield curve is going crazy. The UK is something to pay attention to now with the incredibly stupid decisions they made, particularly in their energy sector, and the amount of entitlements that they've given out over the last 2 decades. It looks like they're going broke. Their 10-year gilt and 30-year gilt are screaming right now to levels not seen since Liz Truss was kicked out of office. And for those of you who don't recall, she got into office promising big budget cuts and fiscal conservatism, and just the specter of her becoming and forcing the British government to be more fiscally conservative, sent gilt rates to, I believe, like 5.1%, and she got fired within like 3 days because people didn't think it was good for the UK economy. However, today the 10-year gilt is higher than it was then even, and you don't see the same reaction. So be aware. People are calling you out on X. Stunning and brave how ignorant Odell is to Kurt Cobain's life. Inspirational, actually.
Look, I apologize, guys. Hand up, I'll take that one. The CIA killed him. TIL.
Moving along. Strike ships Bitcoin lending expansions and remittance features.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a big week for Jack and Strike. A lot of shipping. The big highlight, I would say, is anyone who has loans out on Strike, rates have dropped dramatically across the board. And intentionally, the way Strike is designed, there's no origination fees or prepayment penalties, so you can refi immediately and take advantage of those rates at no cost to you. But yeah, I mean, Strike is awesome. Obviously, Marty and I are very involved with building it out in a way that makes Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, more useful to people. And I think that's where you really start to make real tangible wins in terms of people using actual Bitcoin, holding self-custody, spending it without permission, by providing tools and services that make it more useful to people, right? And if the only way someone can borrow against their Bitcoin is if it's an ETF at competitive rates, then more people are going to choose an ETF over using real Bitcoin. Very simple design and foundational principles at Strike are designed to encourage self-custody. They're designed to encourage staying humble and stacking sats. You can DCA for free. You can withdraw for free. The withdrawals can be auto withdrawals. You can use Lightning to make deposits. You can use Lightning to make withdrawals. That all of a sudden offers cash-like properties to Bitcoin. These things are all very intentional. They don't happen by accident. They happen over years of grinding it out, trying to build a better product for Bitcoiners. And so I continue to be incredibly proud of the Strike team. It's pretty cool watching them cook internally. Yeah, and if you're not a Strike user, you can download in your favorite app store and use code RHR for $500 worth of discounted trading fees. And then after that, just set up an auto DCA, set it and forget it. Never pay a fee again in your life.
Yeah. You have Alan King C9T saying Strike needs lower interest lending fees. And to be clear, when it comes to rates and limits, particularly on the lending product, it's not really dictated by Strike at the end of the day. It's dictated by individual states and their regulators and things like that. So,
well, no. So, the states are dictating the minimums, right?
Yes.
So, like, if it says like you need to borrow at least 10K or something, that's state regulatory stuff.
That's what I was alluding to, because he's saying lower interest lending fees. There's no origination fees, so I was assuming it's limited.
There's different licenses that you can get. Some are harder than others, and the harder ones get you lower amounts. And so, like, we've been trying to knock them out where we can to get those limits lower. And to be clear, like, in terms of financial self-interest of Strike, 99% of the revenue is large loans and large buyers and sellers. It's whales. Whales are what actually make Strike an incredibly profitable business. The reason Strike is so focused on lowering those limits and making them more accessible is because we care about individual holders of Bitcoin. Like, we care about the little guy having the same kind of, tax strategy as rich people do, right? And being able to, actually leverage their wealth and use these tools when usually it's, hidden behind private wealth services or whatnot. So we'll continue to try and lower those limits. On the rate side, Strike isn't providing the liquidity for the dollar side liquidity, right? So Strike actually is operating as basically like a middleman or a broker between companies willing to lend dollars against Bitcoin and Bitcoiners that want to borrow dollars with no tax hit against their Bitcoin. And so our goal is to get those rates as low as possible. A lot of it is education. Some of it is cost of capital, just in general, like macro cost of capital. But you have to realize, like, the big fundamental thing is people that realize that Bitcoin is fantastic collateral tend to buy Bitcoin rather than lend dollars against Bitcoin. And then, so the people lending dollars tend to think that Bitcoin is actually risky collateral. And so they command higher rates. So this is something that happens over time with maturation. But just keep in mind, our goal is to obviously get those rates as low as possible. Bitcoin collateralized loans should be the lowest rates. Yes. If you're taking out a loan on your car, that should be a higher rate than a Bitcoin collateralized loan. It isn't right now, but it should be, and it will be eventually. And Strike is focused on making that a reality.
Yes, it's. I mean, we've talked about it for years. Going back to Unchained, their lending desk, and I mean, if you're doing collateralized lending specifically, where as a provider of lending liquidity, you're trying to mitigate the loss of principal. There is no better collateral asset to eliminate that risk than Bitcoin, which trades 24/7, 365 in a highly liquid market, and you can sell immediately to prevent principal loss. That risk should be priced appropriately with a cost of capital that is lower than something like a car loan, where if you are issuing a car loan, the recovery of your principal, if somebody defaults on their payments, is much less likely than in a Bitcoin case, because then you have to repossess the car, you have to pay the repossession company, and then you have to sell the car for cash to get your principal back. And as we all know, the fastest appreciating asset in the world is a vehicle.
Yeah, I got yeah, I mean, the other thing that I've seen being promoted by influencers right now is to borrow money on strike, especially now that our rates are lower, or other avenues, borrowing money and then taking that money and then putting it into stretch to capture, it's like it's a carry trade to like capture that separation between the two interest rates. There's no way we can stop you from doing that at strike. We don't want to know what you do with your dollars after you borrow them, but just please don't do that. Just like from individual to individual. I'm not speaking on behalf of strike here. Just
well,
as an individual.
I'll explain
please
why.
don't do that.
I'll explain why, because I mean, and this goes back to your comment earlier about you thinking that this isn't targeted towards pools of capital that can't access Bitcoin or ETFs directly. And I actually had a conversation last night about this, and like I think it only makes sense for those pools of capital. However, to your point, the earnings call was a podcast, and they are targeting retail. But I mean, stretch only works if the price of Bitcoin goes up, right? Like over the long term. And so, if you believe that stretch has a valid thesis, you believe that Bitcoin will go up, and then you have to ask yourself the question, like, do I think Bitcoin is going to go up more than 11.5% annualized over a certain period of time? If so, then why don't I just buy Bitcoin? And then some people will say, well, I need the income. It's like, okay, well, you can just take, let's say you're going to put $100,000 in strike to get 11.5% annualized. At the end of the year, you'll accrue $11,500. Buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin and just sell 11,500 at the end of the year, and do that until you run out of Bitcoin and see if it was a better decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's one point.
Not investment.
I mean, that's one point. Because, like, I mean, look, clearly Saylor has that conviction, right? He's happy to pay 11.5% because he thinks Bitcoin will outperform it. And I tend to agree with him on that front. But the other piece is, look, Stretch is a novel new product. If you do that and you over leverage yourself and Stretch specifically falls below par, let's say it drops $20 and just wipes out all the gains you have, you start to see systemic like feedback loops that could be quite bad if the people that own the thing are very leveraged themselves into the product. So I'm just there's more risk there than people give it credit for. And so just be aware of that risk. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. There's no such thing as free money.
No, there isn't. You know what you got to do? You got to work for your money. That's why we come here week in and week out. And we live stream. People zap us for our work, value for value. Make no mistake, zapped us 25,000 sats. The layoffs continue. Every job that survives will need its own personal clanker. Use code RHR for $50 off. www.makenomimistakes.shop. All right, nice. On to the financial freedom report section of the show, coming out of Indonesia this week, getting out of our Russia streak there. We went on like a month-long Russia streak. Now we're in Indonesia, where digital payment system with China has been established. China and Indonesia launched a cross-border QR payment system connecting China's major payment apps with Indonesia's QRIS network, the country's national digital payment standard used by over 50 million people. At launch, the system supports Alipay and UnionPay, China's dominant mobile payment platform, and the national payment network, respectively, allowing travelers and residents from both countries to scan and pay across borders, with transactions settled directly in yuan and rupiah under a local currency settlement framework. For more stories like this and others, make sure you go to financialfreedomreport.org and sign up for the newsletter. Drops every Thursday morning if they get it out in a timely manner. And I think this week's story is just highlighting convenience, lulling you into the panopticon here. Cross-border convenience here in the case of Indonesia.
This is what like the real world CBDC rollout looks like. And to be clear here, like to the average American, like, oh, maybe it's Indonesia. They just don't even really think about it. Like this is the second most populous country in the world partnering with the fourth most populous country in the world. Like this is significant. It's extremely significant.
So be aware. Be aware. On to software updates section of the show. Cocoa V1 stable TypeScript framework for cashew.
Wait. Before software updates, we got to read Bisq.
Hail to the flood again.
Let me check the RHR ones. You can find our Nostr post after every episode is posted to primal.net/RHR or by searching RHR in your favorite Nostr app. The highest zap there was 21,000 sats from Ride or Die Freak roaming. He changed it up. It's no longer an asteroid emoji. Kind of looks like a bowl of ramen. I don't know what emoji this is. Yeah, or salad or something. It's a bowl of something. This is emoji. But 21,000 sats. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we didn't read the ones from the previous one, the large, because we had a live show. We don't do it during the live shows. There's a lot of zaps there. Florida Justin, 23,032 sats. Palindrome zap. Handshake. Muscle flex. 22,022 sats from McCoy. Great rip. Post God candle. We'll mention threshold be lower. It cut off. And then roaming again with 21,000 sats. Asteroid emoji.
Okay, so he switched it up last week. Interesting. No hostile takeover boost over 21,000 sats. However, rabbit hole recap 406. The layoffs continue. We had open mic boost us 22,222 sats. Twos across the board. Palindrome boost. 2 rabbit hole recap epis in 5 days. 1 in real life on Monday. I'll zap to that. Pumped RHR and Las Vegas are different nights this year. Shaka brah.
Las Vegas looked awesome. I was out of Vegas by the time Las Vegas happened. I successfully pulled off only a single night in Vegas. Flew in morning of the 27th. And then on the 28th, I left the main stage and went straight to the airport.
I did 3 nights in Vegas, and that is 2 nights too long.
Oh, Marty and I, Vegas, they like make you walk to the casino to get everywhere. And we were walking back to our hotel, and we did like 30 minutes at the blackjack table. And it was with Patrick Witt.
Yeah.
I thought that was fucking wild.
Yeah. 22 push. Great game.
But yeah, it's pretty good self-control that I only played 30 minutes of blackjack. I was pretty proud of myself.
I did not have self-control. That's why you can only do 1 night in Vegas. Night 2. Night 3. Hit the craps table. Went on a heater. It was a fun night. It was fun. Shout out to the boys who were at the table. You know who you were. Not going to dox you.
I heard wild things.
Coco V1 out there. What is Coco? 37 weeks ago, our boy Edgy started working on Coco, a TypeScript framework, a developer kit for building Cashew wallets and applications. The goal was simple: make Cashew app development in TypeScript as easy, as modular, and reliable as possible. Coco provides a storage agnostic core for wallet logic, proof management, mint sync, quote handling, subscriptions, operation recovery, and typed events, plus maintained adapters for Node, Bun, Indexed, BD, and Expo/React Native. It also includes React hooks for building wallet UIs on top of the same core primitives. Today, after roughly 120,000 lines of code written and over 600 commits and 55 alpha releases, I am very proud to announce that Cocoa V1 is now stable and available on NPM under the @Cashew scope. This release marks the first stable foundation for developers who want to build Cashew apps in TypeScript without rebuilding the same wallet infrastructure from scratch. This is stuff you love to see. The hard work, the grunt work, the foundational work necessary to make it so people can build applications on protocols, in this case, the Cashew protocol.
Yeah, absolutely love to see it. Really cool project. Eggy is a beast. He's most known for npub.cache, which is just an awesome tool. And I had him on Citadel Dispatch. So search for that in your favorite podcast app if you haven't listened to it. It was a great chat. And we talked about Cocoa a lot.
Cocoa, great name. Great name.
I actually, that made me think about it because it happened since the live weeks always like break up my thought processes. But with OpenSats, we released heartbeat.opensats.org. I didn't talk about this on RHR, right?
No.
This is something we're incredibly proud of. GG whipped it up. If you go to heartbeat.opensats.org, it's literally pulling in the overwhelming majority of the projects we've funded at OpenSats live commits that you can just watch, just like feeding in, just watch the Freedom Tech flow through you. Is really fucking cool. I say most projects because some are hosted on GitLab and not GitHub, and we haven't added those yet. So there should be about 50 that will be added. Right now it's tracking 350 open source projects that we have funded. But it's really, really cool to see. And so if you were tracking that, you can just tag releases only, you would see Cocoa come up on the releases. But yeah, check that out. Heartbeat.opensats.org. I think it's really fucking cool. So any of the haters out there asking, what are we actually doing? There's your proof of work.
There it is.
Let it flow through you.
Don't trust, verify. Go read the heartbeats. Divine, the Vine reboot from Rabble and team officially launches. He was at Bitcoin Takeover with David Ross talking about this a few months ago. So it's really cool to see that the launch is official. We've been talking about this for a while. It's out there now.
Yeah, I mean, it uses Nostr, but they've been very focused on hiding that from the user to try and make it more mainstream focused. And it seems like they're getting a lot of traction, which is just cool to see. I haven't used it myself yet. Have you used it, Divine?
No.
I was never a Vine user. Were you a Vine user? 6-second loops. It's like precursor to TikTok.
Temporarily. I'm not. That format's not great for me. Not great at that medium.
But what's their website? Divine.app? Divine.video. Divine.video if you want to check it out. I thought this little promo video they did that Logan has up was actually pretty good. But yeah, check it out. Divine.video.
Go check it out. Next up on the list, we have...
I had something brought to my attention that apparently needs to be on RHR.
What is this, Logan? Why it better be good. It better be good.
Did you see this?
No, but I love this guy.
You ever sold your position to lock in a profit on an event contract in a forecast market? Are you a bona fide liquidity provider to a high security clearance thrift shop for insiders? Ain't you always wished, ain't you always dreamed that the whole damn world was just a slot machine? I'm up on Cowsheet, raising hell. I'm up on Polymarket as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine.
I love this guy.
So this video went viral. I guess it's like a folk song about prediction markets. And then
Have you seen
Ride
any
or
of this guy's
Die,
other stuff? He's really talented.
Ride or Die Freak Average Gary deep faked my face onto it. said that it was me singing about prediction markets, which, you know, I had like 6
predicted
different people
this.
send me that video because I guess I'm their prediction market guy. By the way, that actually reminds me that a study came out that said, what was it, like 1% of Polymarket users are making 99% of the gains or something.
They haven't lost the funds, but they're losing a lot of people some money.
It's something like, what is it? What was the actual stat?
I think you're in the
Polymarket
ballpark.
users win.
I think it was 99-1.
Okay, roughly 2/3 of Polymarket users lose money, while a tiny fraction of highly sophisticated traders capture the vast majority of profits. 0.1% of accounts make 67% of winnings, which I think we've been very consistent with this. Like, trading on prediction markets benefits insiders. Watching prediction markets benefits outsiders. That's how people should be thinking about it. I don't think it invalidates the value prop of prediction markets. I think prediction markets provides signal in a very noisy world. Some elements of truth in a post-truth world, if you will. But you just, like, if you're not an insider, like, you should just be staying humble and stacking sats. You shouldn't be trading these things. And of course, there is also the caveat that a lot of their volume is sports betting, and it's a regulatory carve-out to get around sports betting regulation. But that's, I would say, a different piece. That's not what I find interesting about prediction markets. Is not, sports betting.
Sports. And they're getting looks like they're drawing the ire of some state regulators because of that. Moving on, because I got to get in the car here soon. Maple is maturing. They announced yesterday via their blog a new look, a very good look, the best look for Maple I could ever imagine. Shout out to Spencer, our boy from Finite Supply, who helped them with
Skylar.
Skylar, what did I say? Spencer? I got Spencer.
Yeah,
Pratt
your favorite LA mayor, hopeful.
Skylar's a good friend too. Skylar, I'm sorry, I got Spencer on the mind.
You're good.
Not only do they have a new rebrand, but they have a new product suite, one of which being Maple Research. It's got better memory. And they teased Maple Agent, which is not fully released yet, but there is a beta list if you want to get on that.
You've been playing around with it, right?
Yeah.
It's great. It's just very user friendly. It's exactly what you'd expect. It's like, okay, here's your soulless robot slave, and it has very strong privacy guarantees, and it just works. And then so the product that most people are familiar with Maple is being rebranded as Maple Research. That's going to be more of a power user product where you can like pick and choose which models you want to use. But the agent aspect will probably be where most users are using Maple, and it's supposed to just have very sane defaults and be very straightforward and user-friendly for people.
Yeah. It's I will tease the Maple Agent mobile app because it is pretty sleek.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Gives you peace of mind. Trusted execution environments. Oh, we didn't talk about that. Do you have that on the list?
Try maple.ai. Use code RHR. Does it actually get them a discount? I don't know. They're supposed to implement code RHR.
Ah, look. I just asked him. I said, what are your thoughts on Rabbit Hole Recap? Not sure exactly I know which Rabbit Hole Recap you're referring to. Is it a podcast or a show? To make sure I'm giving you an actual take, not making something up. Oh, okay, got it. Rabbit Hole Recap with Marty Bent and Odell. The weekly Bitcoin podcast. That makes way more sense now. I think it's one of the better Bitcoin native shows out there. They go pretty deep on technical stuff, protocol updates, and regulatory developments without dumbing it down too much. The privacy and self-custody angle is strong. It can occasionally feel a bit like an echo chamber, but if you're already in that world, the quality and analysis is solid.
Thank you. Thank you, Maple Agent. Appreciate you.
I think it's pretty dead on.
I'll take it. Nice endorsement from the soulless robot slave running on a secure element.
You don't have Alexo's Fellini's thing on here. But I thought this is interesting since we're on the subject of Maple, which uses trusted execution environments in secure enclaves on your mobile device and a GPU in the cloud, which gives you end-to-end encryption, which makes it so Maple cannot see the discussions that you're having with the LLMs that they're hosting for you in the cloud. Alexos Fellini, looks like he's releasing a trusted execution environment dev kit. I guess it's similar to OpenSecret in the sense that that allows developers to build within trusted execution environments pretty easily. Enclavia.io, ENCLAVIA.io.
And he was, I mean, when he announced that, he was responding to a TFTC post about Kali saying that they're trying to make it easier for cash humans to run in those environments so that operators cannot rug users. They can just, you're just trusting the operator with uptime, not with ruggability.
Yeah.
Which would be a huge trust model improvement for cash humans.
That started a big back and forth about the definition of custodial, non-custodial, and the risk trade-offs that come with running it. I think his name's escaping me, but the guy from Blue Wallet was pretty adamant that he's not comfortable with the trade-offs. Is how he was describing it.
Look, I think that's like the best and worst part of our space, right? It's like the shitcoiners never care about any of this shit. They just ship. No one's arguing about what the trust model is of inscribed STRC on fucking chain. They just press retweet. But when it comes to using Bitcoin as money, we get really deep on technical nuances, which I think, to be clear, is mostly good. That's one of the best parts about this space. But it also could be quite frustrating. And I think Kali's pretty good about disclosing trade-offs where it doesn't expose them to additional regulatory burden.
This is pretty cool. Apocalypse early warning system.
I love this. I got shit on for this a little bit when I posted it.
The site washes a fixed cohort of business jets and asks a simple question. Is the number currently airborne unusual for this time? Is not tracking all aircraft the original version used in FAA-only business jet list. The current tracker builds a broader global aircraft metadata table by merging ADS-B exchange aircraft records, Mictronics/TAR 1090 records, and FAA.
Okay, you're getting too deep on it. Look, this guy created an indicator with the help of LLMs that operates under a simple thesis. When the Illuminati bat signal goes out to all the rich people that they have to evacuate cities, there should be a trackable deviation on their planes because all of that is public information. So if you see a bunch of rich people evacuating cities, then it might mean that they got heads up on something that the general public doesn't know about yet. Like their group chats all lit up and said, get to the bunkers. So he created this site, but also he made it agent focused. So I've been building out Citadel Wire, my Clanker news desk. And so now, like, I put this in, like, my agent is also tracking this. Like, if there's a major deviation, an alert will go out across Nostr and on the website, citadelwire.com. I thought it was novel and interesting.
I think I co-sign. This is definitely novel and interesting. And not only that, I want to give an aesthetic shout out to just the plain HTML. I miss this aesthetic, bringing us back to the early 2000s, late 90s.
So clean.
Yeah. Some blue hypertext. You know, that's what you want to see. Hyperlinks. Start 9, Bisq V privacy router.
Yeah, I had Matt Hill of Start 9 on Citadel Dispatch. Search Citadel Dispatch in your favorite podcast app. It was a great rip. We talked about this router. I'm pretty excited about it. As someone who's gone down the rabbit hole of open source routers, the existing options absolutely suck. You get a lot of power out of them, but you don't get reliability. They're not very user friendly. have your whole family have no internet in the house for 5 hours while you're trying to troubleshoot why the router isn't working. And all of a sudden you realize why we need a product like this. So they're doing a crowdfund. It was 56 when we ended Civil Dispatch on, I think, Tuesday I had them on. It looks like there's 67 people have participated in the Bitcoin only crowdfund. Estimated ship date should be the summer, I think is what he said. So we'll see, but I wanted to flag it for people.
We got an early. I mean, we've seen them build this out behind the scenes for a couple of years now, and it is pretty sweet what you're going to be able to do. Go check out the episode, and if you want to be a contributor and get early access to this, go to router.start9.com. Link to that in the show notes. Last but not least, South African Bitcoiners are under attack. Damn.
Yeah, so to the point of Bitcoiners that care about freedom money need to stand together. In South Africa, it's come to my attention that we are currently in the public commentary period for an attack on self-custody. And it's not just Bitcoin focused. Can you scroll down a little bit, Logan? They explain it all on the website. But basically like full wealth disclosure to set up for seizures and making it criminal if you do not comply. I think Bitcoiners around the world should be sounding the alarm here. Obviously, it affects the South African Bitcoiners the most, but we should have their back. So you can find out more information by going to propertyrightsdefense.org. Check it out, make some noise. And I will be having a group of high integrity South African Bitcoiners on Civil Dispatch next Friday. So what is that? May 15th. Next Friday, May 15th on Civil Dispatch, we'll be discussing this at length, which is not coincidentally 3 days before the public commentary period ends. So hopefully we can make some noise here. And just a reminder, I would much prefer to live my life and focus on my friends and family and things I care about than be involved in politics in any kind of way. It's a very shitty world, the political, corrupt world. But we don't live in a vacuum. And the way we win is twofold. The way we win is tools that empower individuals, make it easier for anyone to take sovereignty when they realize the need. But also we have to be very deliberate in how we interact with different states around the world and push back against increasingly burdensome regulation. It's a twofold fight. And this is just one more case of that. I mean, if you are, does this ruling, if this law goes into effect, have significant impact on Bitcoin, the network, or the protocol? No. Will it have significant impact on South Africans that care about their country, that are building businesses there, that are raising families there? Yes, absolutely. And yeah, you can ignore the state won't ignore you. So just keep that in mind.
I don't have much hope for this. It doesn't seem like South Africa. My heart goes out to all the South Africans, broadly speaking. South African Bitcoiners a bit more narrowly, but it doesn't seem like that particular government really cares about public perception. If I'm being honest, from an outsider looking in, I hope I can be proven wrong.
Listen to Civil Dispatch next Friday, and hopefully we'll give you some hope. But we'll see. This is a global phenomenon. We're seeing it happen more and more in too many places. I see Fibbo Swanee mentioning the crowdfund that was announced at the Vegas conference for the wide distribution of the first Julian Assange documentary that Julian himself is endorsing. I've been working with the documentarian on a volunteer basis, to be clear, because I've always been incredibly inspired by Julian's work in WikiLeaks. It was shaped a lot of my early adulthood and why I ended up focused on Bitcoin and greater freedom tech. So I would love to see the wide distribution of this film. I've basically been his guide to Nostr and Bitcoin. A lot of different Bitcoiners have stepped up to help, including the Primal Development Team, Zapright, Strike. So it's been really cool to see. But the goal here is he won Cannes. I think he won a Golden Globe as well. But the wide distribution of the film has been basically blackballed, and he can't distribute the film as widely as he'd like to. So we're hoping that maybe there's a different funding path here where individual sovereign Bitcoiners fund the film, get credited, help drive awareness of it, and then it can be distributed very widely for cheap, if not free, after the fact. His name is Eugene. I will be having him on Citadel Dispatch on Monday to discuss it. So check that out if you are interested.
$6billion-man.com.
$6billion-man.com. Yes. But a lot of people are like, oh, 1 million sats to watch a film is too expensive. You're not paying to watch the film. Like that's, you get to watch the film before everyone else. But if that's the perception, then it's partially on us for failing to convey the actual goal here. The goal is more in tune to something like a crowdfunding or producer role, right? And it's Bitcoin only. That was intentional, and also it's priced in Bitcoin. Is not a coincidence. So yeah,
Go check it out. It's something I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? Oh, vote for Spencer Pratt for mayor of LA. I've been fully psyoped.
Move out of LA before the election. If you can vote for Spencer Pratt, you're doing something wrong. We live in a time, and I'm very grateful for it, where the most amount of people in humanity have the ability to choose where they live. This is something that people take for granted. And yes, there's plenty of people that can't choose where they live, mostly because of financial reasons. But if you have the means to choose where you and your family live and build their businesses and raise your family and be a part of a community, take advantage of it. Don't take it for granted. You have the ability to choose where you live. Billions of people have the ability to choose where they live. That has never happened before in humanity. It might not be the case in 20 years. We might be witnessing the greatest game of musical chairs that humanity has ever seen. And if you're just sitting there not playing the game, I think it's the detriment to your family. So with that said, if you can vote for Spencer Pratt in the LA elections, you're doing something wrong. Move.
Agreed. South African Bitcoiners think of it too.
Don't move to LA, South African Bitcoiners.
No.
Bad idea.
What was I going to say? Something else profound. Something profound to say, to add, to end on. Oh, don't fall for Project Bluebeam. It's coming. They're getting after the evangelical pastors, and they're coming out and being like, they got a group of us pastors at the White House, and they told us about the aliens, so we're going to tell you all.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
They told the religious folk?
Yeah, they're attacking the religious folk now. What do they say exactly?
It'd be a horrible time for aliens to attack, because I definitely would not believe it if it was happening.
I mean, they're going to go for it, dude. They're going to go for it. Here. The news is true. I was brought into a private meeting with other pastors. Phones off, no recordings. We were warned. Disclosure is coming, and many will be unprepared for what follows.
Is this a tweet?
Yeah. That's like a 42-minute video. We're not going to watch it, but Logan, I'll
Wait, how many? Is this like a pastor influencer on Twitter?
Yes.
How many followers does he have? It kind of reminds me when they brought the Republican influencers in, and they were all holding the Epstein list binders.
Well,
remember that?
He's only got 7,000 followers, and his take it with a grain of salt. There are many around us, Matt, who fall for this stuff hook, line, and sinker. His profile description is equipping end time believers for the next great awakening.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So they got like the apocalypse influencers in there. Yeah, I mean, well, at least RHR will be interesting that week. We got that going for us. Yeah, BTC pins. Who's going to orange pill the aliens? I mean, I think the aliens are going to. I prefer Stretch because it has less risk and a higher risk reward profile than Bitcoin.
Stretch also has the spaceship, right? Remember, like the torque and the
yeah,
the
it's
gem
perfect
in the
for
front?
aliens.
Yeah, it comes with a spaceship. I don't think Bitcoin has one.
Something profound to end on. First of all, self-custody, real Bitcoin. Learn how to do it. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is Cold Card. Go to coldcard.com, use code RHR. It's easier than you think it is to have insanely good security guarantees with real Bitcoin. Coinkite.com. On the note of hardware wallets, just real quick, the BitKey launch last week is awesome. I think it's for a different type of user than Cold Cards, a more mainstream focused product. I already liked the original BitKey, but my big complaint was it didn't have a screen. Now it has a screen, so you don't have to trust what is shown on the phone. You can verify on the screen of the device. I like that they leaned into this. I think the original vision of BitKey was like supposed to be like a low-cost signing device for the developing world. Then they decided to use premium materials, and they released a BitKey that was kind of caught in the middle, right? It was more expensive than for the developing world, and also lacked the features that I think a higher net worth clientele would expect. And so I like that they leaned into a higher price product with the screen. I think that's a great move by them.
Great for the grandmother in your life.
Self-custody freaks, real Bitcoin.
Very easy setup. I set mine up with Max guys from the block team. Very easy.
Not your keys, not your coins. It's not FUD. It's not being salty. It's not being grumpy. These are it's very basic principles in terms of
when the aliens come and they confiscate all the MSDR and STRC. We're not going to say we told you so. We're just going to say
we're going to say it.
Are you going to learn from your lesson? Are you going to hold your own Bitcoin?
I'm definitely going to say told you so.
The aliens are just going straight to the DTCC and confiscating all the shares.
You know, the name of the episode might even be told you so.
I can't wait until disclosure comes. That might be an all-time RHR freaks, and it's going to happen this summer. I'm calling July. Disclosure.
What, the alien disclosure?
Yeah, it's going to be America 250.
I don't even know how we can bet on that.
We're not betting on it yet. We'll just take a week to think about a bet. We've got a week. Hey, it would be remiss of us, Matthew, to not give a shout out to all the mothers out there. It is Mother's Day weekend here in the United States. Shout out to our wives, our mothers, mother-in-laws, everybody who's a mother out there. All of you women freaks. Thank you for doing what you do. Moms are obviously extremely important. Some of the most selfless people in the world. I know my wife is an incredible mother. And on that note, if anybody has gift recommendations, send them my way.
Thursday live on air before Mother's Day weekend asking for gift recommendations is a fun place to be in. But yeah, shout out to all the mothers. Most important job in the world, period. They don't get enough credit.
You know. All right, we're ending it on a good note. Stay humble.
Stack sats.
I almost took it from you. Peace and love, freaks.